Welcome to Ride Along, everybody. If this is your first time watching a Ride Along video, let me introduce it to you really quick. Ride Along is a 360-degree car review video, so if you haven't noticed already, you can look around the video all you want. If you're watching on a computer, just click and drag on the screen, you'll look around. If you're on a phone or a tablet, you can just use your finger on the screen and look all around. So what I'll be doing today is showing you the 2019 Ford Ranger. I'll be showing you the ins and outs and everything in between. So without further ado, let me introduce this car to you. As I said, it is the 2019 Ford Ranger. Now this particular trim is the XLT. There are three trims that you can choose from here. You have the XL, which is the most basic model, and then you have the XLT right in the middle. It's got a lot of good perks with the truck. And then right on top you have the Lariat. So with those, you have a few options on if you want more of a basic pickup versus a more luxurious pickup. The cars that you can compare to this, or the other trucks that would be comparable to it, are the Chevy Colorado and the Nissan Frontier. And I'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But let's do a nice little walk around of the car and I'll show you what it has to offer in terms of styling, dimensions, and really what the exterior looks like. The Ford Ranger has been absent from Ford's lineup since 2012. It went on an 8-year hiatus and they brought it back late 2018 with this, the 2019 model. Now it's a good facelift. I think it looks very good for the type of mid-sized truck that it is. Now this particular trim is the XLT, as I mentioned earlier, which means this has the Super Crew, which is Ford speak for crew cab. So it has the 4 doors, and then it has a 5-foot bed. Now, this being the mid-range model, the XLT, it's got some decent giddy up, it's got some good power. Honestly, as I've been driving it, it's a fun truck. It's a truck that I would consider I might tune it to be a Baja truck if I had the time and money to do so. But yeah, this would be a very good dune runner or a good rock crawler if you're gonna put some time into developing that out. But I think it's a good looking car. So let's look at the engine, talk about the trunk a little bit, and that'll be good. Underneath the hood, you have Ford's EcoBoost technology. Pretty much what that means is that you've got a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine here. Yeah, turbocharged. Now it is a 2.3 liter engine and it puts out about 270 horsepower with 310 foot-pounds of torque. Now that's pretty good. What that means is it's a 4-cylinder that is a workhorse. It's going to be putting out a decent amount of power, I should say. If you get the optional tow package on here, that means you'll be towing up to about 7,500 pounds. That means you can have a decent-sized boat on the back, or you can have a couple of ATVs. You could even put one ATV in the back, assuming you have the 6-foot bed, or maybe it's a smaller ATV. Doesn't matter, but it means you've got enough power to tow your toys, is really what I'm saying here. Now, as far as fuel is concerned, you're rated at about 22 miles per gallon. That's 20 in the city, about 24 highway. And today, when I was cruising on the freeway, I got about 23 miles per gallon, just in average. So, I mean, it was doing pretty well. And granted, I was cruising on the freeway for most of that. And so, yeah, you're gonna be pretty well off with your fuel. Now, depending on the size of the cab that you select, as well as the trim that you select, that's going to affect the length of your truck bed. If you go with the 4-door, which is the Super Crew, then you'll get the 5-foot truck bed. If you go with the 2-door, then you get the 6-foot truck bed. So, I mean, it's all just equivalent exchange with spaces, really. Now, that also affects your payload. Oddly enough, if you go with the base model, which is the Ranger XL, then you get more payload. You'll be able to pull about 1,800 pounds of payload in the back, and that'll give you the 6-foot bed, of course, as I mentioned. Now, if you go with what I have here, which is the 4x4 with the Super Crew, it actually brings down your payload that you can tow, or that you can pull in the back at least. You have about 1,500, a little over 1,500 pounds that you can pull in the back. The reason being is that all the trims have the same exact engine. And so as you go up in the trims, you add more to the truck, which just adds more weight that it has to pull. Now, in terms of space, If you have the 5-foot truck bed, from the top of the bed here, all inside, you're working with about 43.8 cubic feet of space. If you have the 6-foot, then you'll get about 51.8 cubic feet. And then the last thing I wanted to show you with the bed here is this tailgate. Now, I grew up with a Ford F-250, 1993, I should say. So the tailgate was actually very heavy. I mean, you had to really muscle into it to get it up. This one, I mean, I'm excited about this. This is super light. I mean, you're not gonna strain yourself by bringing this down or closing it. And as you can hear, it's very solid. Light, solid, it's a truck, it's good to go. I mean, it's Ford. So I don't think you're gonna be too disappointed in terms of this truck doing truck things. It's almost like it's expected, right? Now, in terms of rear passenger capacity, you're gonna be comfortable. And I guess more so your passengers will be comfortable. Back here, I have 34.5 inches of legroom. That's what the Super Crew provides. Super Cab, it cuts down to about 30.4 inches of legroom. So there's a bit of a sacrifice in legroom with that. So I guess it really depends on who you're going to have back here. If it's your own personal car, you're not really gonna have anyone else riding with you, then go with the Super Cab. If you've got a family, go with the Super Crew. In terms of headroom, though, the Super Crew has 38.5 inches of headroom. And then if you go with the smaller cab, the Super Cab, then you'll get 35.9 inches of headroom. So, I mean, you're gonna be relatively comfortable. It's not a luxurious level of comfortable though, but you'll be comfortable nonetheless. Now, in terms of amenities back here, there are 2 USB charging ports down here. You can use that for any kind of smart device, your phone, whatever. Let's say, for whatever reason, your device doesn't have USB charging, or you need to plug in another way. There is an AC power outlet here. It has 150 watts, 110 volts of power. So there is that option too, which is funny because it actually comes standard. So yeah, I guess if you have that 3-pronged outlet that you need to charge something or plug something in, you got that option. Now, in terms of technology, this is where your decision-making will have to come into play because the trim does affect that. If you go with the base XL model, you're going to have a very base level offerings of technology. You'll have an AM/FM radio, you'll have 1 USB port, you'll have maybe 2 12-volt outlets. I think it's 1 in the XL, I don't quite recall. This being the XLT, though, you have more in terms of technological offerings. For example, in this one, you have 2 smart USB ports where you can plug your phone in, allow it to work with the touchscreen here. And so the touchscreen, it is an 8-inch touchscreen smart hub. It is Apple CarPlay ready, it is Android Auto ready. So whatever phone you have, it'll likely work with it, and it'll be very friendly and allow you to use all the apps. Now the screen also allows you to do pinch and zoom if you're using the navigation mode with the maps. Something that comes standard with your car here, or the truck, is the Ford Pass Connect, which allows your car to have a vehicle hotspot. So if your kids want to connect to Wi-Fi through your car, then you can also have a cellular data plan that will allow you to have the car operate as a hotspot. So that's kind of cool. In terms of interior styling and whatnot, it's not that impressive. I'm gonna be honest. It's very basic, but I think that just kind of goes along with it being the base model truck, or Ford's mid-size truck. If you really want to live in luxury, I suppose you'll want to look at the Ford F-150 or really any of the F-Series. But I mean, in terms of it being an accessible mid-size truck, it's gonna be pretty good. I do have to say, driving the Ford Ranger is actually really nice. It's a very smooth ride. I have noticed at times though that it's a little wishy-washy. You find yourself kind of rocking back and forth. So if you have, I guess one of those hula dancer bobblehead things, she will dance well. Now that being said, even though there is a little bit of swaying back and forth, it's very smooth. It's not like you're jumping all around uncomfortably. It really is a very comfortable ride. Now, in terms of acceleration, you're getting into traffic. Thanks to the turbo boosted engine, the truck gets going quickly. Now, I think I've already said this, but You don't find the turbocharged engine in the Chevy Colorado or in the Nissan Frontier. So it's really nice. It really doesn't hit your miles per gallon that much either. I think it's a difference of maybe 1 or 2, probably 2 on the city, 1 on the highway. So, I mean, in terms of getting out in traffic, that is a breeze. Another thing as well about driving this truck, it is a mid-sized truck. So you're not going to feel like you're cramped or anything. You're gonna feel comfortable going through a drive-through, you're going to feel comfortable parking in a garage, and you'll feel comfortable parking in any parking lot. You fit nice and perfect inside of the parking stalls, assuming you know how to park, which unfortunately not many people do. In terms of safety with the Ford Ranger, Ford has really pulled through with this. The Ranger comes standard with a few safety features that, quite frankly, other automotive brands reserve for their more premium models. So yeah, I think it's a nice standard that Ford is setting. One such feature is forward collision detection. If you're parking your car, it will alert you if you're about to run into a wall. It also has a rear view camera when you're backing up, which is just wonderful. And then it has sensors all around the car for proximity detection in case any portion of your car is going to run into a wall or a rock or a curb or your neighbor's Pomeranian, who quite frankly is a little too friendly. Another great feature about the Ford Ranger that I haven't touched on yet is its ability to shut off the engine automatically when you're at a stoplight. Helps out with saving some fuel if you're at a particularly long stoplight. And it's a little alarming the first time it happens, just because when you let off the brake and the car comes to life, you're just not really expecting it. If you're familiar with auto on, auto off with your engine though, this won't be too new, and it is a great feature. Now, I don't think I've even touched on pricing for the Ford Ranger yet. First thing, it is affordable. It starts out extremely affordable, very easy entry-level truck to get into if you haven't gotten a truck before. The base model, the XL, starts at about $24,300, and then as you add on more features, different things, then it'll go up from there, obviously. When I was building one on the website just to see how high I could take the price, you can get it to be above about $45,000. If you're going with the Lariat, you want it fully loaded, you want all of the tech in it, you want all of the luxury features. Yeah, you can rack it up a little bit. This particular model that we've been in today is sitting at about $34,500. So yeah, it's going to be affordable, and really as affordable as you want to make it. Let's talk pros and cons of the Ranger here. Now, the first pro, as I just mentioned, is the affordability. Really, it's the power to price ratio that you're working with. I mean, the amount of money that you're paying, this is a good little workhorse. You can tow a lot, you can put a lot in the back of the bed. I mean, it'll do work, and I really like that. I think that really brings up the value of the car. Another great pro is the standard safety features that Ford has put into the Ranger. Again, things such as the forward collision detection that is usually reserved for a higher level vehicle in other makes, it really brings up the value of the car. And so I think that that's really something to consider when looking at the car. As for the cons, I've noticed the ride is a little bit bumpy. I notice every single bump that I'm hitting. I'm kind of jumping around. It's not terrible. Like I said, it's a comfortable ride. It just, you do notice the bumps. It's just how it is. Another con is really the interior. It's not going to turn any heads. It's a functional interior. You've got some features, but I mean, unless you're getting the Lariat, I really don't think that it's that amazing. So that's just something to consider. If you really don't care about interior styling, you just need a good little truck that's going to work for you, this is your truck. Now, the last two questions I want to answer within this review. The first one, why would you pick the Ranger over any of the Ford F-Series. And the two main things that I would really consider for that is, one, your budget. You are not paying F-Series prices in the Ranger. You're still getting a lot of truck for the price, so there's that. So you've got your budget, and the second thing is the size. Maybe you don't want a full-size truck. Well, then you've got the mid-size truck. So I think that the Ranger is a great alternative if you just need a little truck. The other question you're probably asking is, why would I pick the Ford Ranger over the Chevy Colorado or the Nissan Frontier? Really, it's pretty simple to answer. One, the turbocharged engine is great. The turbocharger just makes your car go, and it makes it tow. It's wonderful. The other reason are the standard safety features, as I just mentioned. You're going to find that the features that come standard here are premium in other cars. So yeah, I think that Ford brings up the value in both of those aspects really well. So that wraps up my review of the Ford Ranger today. I hope that this was useful for all of you. If you really enjoyed the review, you thought it was useful, go ahead and leave a like on the video. Go ahead and leave a comment if you have any questions, of course. And as always, I will be putting out more videos, so be sure to subscribe. Hit the little notification bell there so that you can be notified as soon as a new review goes live. Feel free to make any suggestions of cars that you would like to see. I take what I can get right now, but I'd like to open up my options at some point. So anyways, thanks again for joining me, and look forward to seeing you in the next video.